What is this like for you? You have become a celebrity all over the internet, snacking with Acton. People can't wait till 2 o'clock every day to watch you and the governor. Personally, what is this like?
I'm holding Ohio in my arms, and I'm like single-handedly like, be gone, virus, stay out.
We're working for a fully approved vaccine, but we'll also use the tools we have, for instance, emergency use authorization as appropriate. We use all of our regulatory tools to bring vaccine available for the entire American population by January.
But we're going to have this intermediate period of opening up, and it won't be normal until we get an amazing vaccine to the entire world.
I stand by my view constitutionally that the state does and should have the power to compel people to do things against their will if it's necessary to protect against a highly contagious, deadly disease.
Hey Ohio, it's Everett, and this is part 3 of Who Really Made the Decision to Lock Down Ohio. I gotta move quick because I got some yard work I have to do. And we're going to answer that question, who really made the decision. But first, got to comment on Amy Acton stepping down or maybe stepping to the side. That's a good thing, but not a perfect thing. And this guy that's going to be the interim director, this legal nerd, that remains to be seen, but she's still on the payroll. But have to say thank you to Operation Rescue that broke the story that we're going to talk about in just a second, because that's probably the biggest reason that she stepped down after 90 days. She was the fearless leader for 90 days, and it only took her 90 days to put 2 million people out of work. But let's just roll the clip.
Well, first of all, this is a shout out to Operation Rescue, because they were one of the few sources that did any credible journalism, media research. They were the ones that looked into Amy Acton's past and record and brought to our attention that she reinstated this horrific abortion clinic in Dayton, Ohio. That's this story right here, operationrescue.org. They were also the ones that dug out her Obama campaign activism that none of the rest of the media paid any attention to. And this is an amazing story. This is probably what really happened. Ohio Health Director resigns after Operation Rescue published disturbing information from interview with Acton's estranged mother. And when you read the article, you find out that Amy Acton had to check the yes box for being treated for emotional or mental illness, drug addiction, or abuse on her 1994 application for her medical license. But the real kicker for this, to me, is the interview with her mother totally blows apart her narrative of living in 18 different places in 12 months. And she has alleged that her mother's second husband assaulted her, and yet a search at the Mahoning County Courthouse just totally blows that apart. And so this is probably the biggest part of the real story, why after 90 days of wonderful heroism, she slinks to the side.
Okay, so that's Amy Acton, and that's good news, but that story's not over yet. But let's get on. Who really made the decision to lock down Ohio? Because we are going to answer that today. And remember, I've got 2 bombshells that I said that we would get to. But like a lot of us, when this lockdown started, I kind of went along with it pretty good-naturedly. I was never worried about it personally for myself. But anyway, I went along with this whole thing. But like most of us, when May 1st rolled around and the curve was flattened, and we were supposed to open up and we didn't, and delay after delay after delay after BS, the alarm bells started going off. And it was right about then somebody sent me a clip of a video from a pastor, Danny Jones, North Lake Baptist Church, Gainesville, Georgia. And he said more in 20 minutes than I could say in 2 hours. I'm going to play just a real quick clip of that, and I would highly suggest that when you get the time, you pull that up. And
so do I think that the coronavirus is a sign of the end of the world? I don't think so. But I do think this COVID-19 is a drill. It's a simulation. It's a dress rehearsal, if you will, to work out the bugs and get all the nations prepared for this final world government. And so it appears that Bill Gates is taking the lead of this billionaires club move toward a one world order.
So I'm going to play a couple of clips from something that Bill Gates invested a lot of money into. I'm replaying these from before. It's an event that he sponsored with World Economic Forum at Johns Hopkins University called Event 201. Simulated all these players from all over the world that are way smarter than you and me, way more important than you and me, and they sat around for 4 sessions to decide how the whole world should behave in the event of an intentionally released airborne pathogen. And I just want to play these clips because they're talking about how to recruit people in various spheres of influence to positively affect the spin and the narrative that happens when a crisis occurs. And so let's watch those clips now, then we're going to talk about it.
No, I think a complementary tactic, too, is to tap faith-based organizations and civil society and other institutions to recruit them also.
But we also need to actually think about a technological answer to this. So there is work that's being done to actually create algorithms to sift through information on these kind of social media platforms. And I know that the Gates Foundation and others are funding organisations to work on things like this in order that people can actually have more confidence in the sources that they will use in any event.
Last year in Davos, it was released that trust in traditional media sources has grown, while trust in social media sources has gone down, specifically after the last elections in the United States. So I think one of the ways that we need to approach this is to make sure that we have the right representatives on traditional media networks.
People look at you crazy when you say they. This is what they want, or they're trying to do this. I know, because that's been me. I've looked at people like they were crazy talking about they, but let me ask you a question. Isn't it crazy when the people that we just watched talk about we? We need to recruit faith-based. We need to not only recruit people, but we need these algorithms to sort through your social media. And then the last young lady that said, we need the right representatives. They're talking in terms of a we and a they. The only problem is they are them and us is, you can figure that out.
But we need a national core of healthy people who are properly trained to go out and do this contact tracing. We need the bodies.
So the question is, did they get to Mike DeWine?
Again, this goes back to Partners in Health, the group that I told you about. They will come in and help us train these workers.
Did they notice that Amy Acton had this vaccination history, heading up Project Love, on her resume?
Yes.
Did they notice that? Did they get to Mike DeWine? Oh, I think maybe so. And here comes bombshell number 1. Why did Mike DeWine try to become dictator over the entire state of Ohio?
Okay, here is bombshell number 1. Maybe you saw this, maybe you didn't, but on May 18th, on Nino Vitelli's Facebook page, he told us that in March of 2019, Mike DeWine tried to sneak into the Ohio Revised Code, basically the ability to make himself a dictator in the event of a medical emergency that he could determine. And the links are all there. You want to go there. You want to check that out. And there were 9 concerns that Nino raised, that it would allow DeWine to declare by executive order a public health emergency, declare the health emergency in all political subdivisions, right down to your local municipality, permit the governor to issue orders as long as he wishes. He could take action over state and local law enforcement, so he could be personally directing the cop that patrols your street, establishes offices and appoint personnel. use any available resources, order the budget director to transfer cash, limit or alter or suspend any collective bargaining so you could bypass unions. And then when I clicked on the link that showed these lines, there was one extra thing that really stuck out at me, and it was this: authorize a healthcare practitioner licensed in another jurisdiction to provide healthcare services during the emergency.
So Mike DeWine would have been able to bring in anybody he wanted from anywhere to be medical tyrant over the state of Ohio. Where did he get that idea? Where did he get the idea for the entire thing? What did he know that you and I didn't know? Where did this originate from? Well, you go back to the first video, I asked a lot of questions, but I've got a couple of questions about these experts that he consulted. Who are these people? What are their names? Who pays them? Who do they work for? Who are they aligned with? How accurate have they been in the past? Has anything they've ever done actually harmed people? Do they have a vested interest in things turning out a certain way? Do they have anything to gain from the country moving in the direction that they've suggested that we move in? Do they own any patents on viruses or on vaccinations? Have they already given assurances to other parties or entities as to how they will speak and how they will act in a situation such as this? Do they have any political affiliations that might influence what they say? And here's the biggest one of all. Is their allegiance to the best interests of the United States, or does it lie elsewhere?
When the rubber hits the road, if you don't have well-established standalone coordination mechanisms that bring the right players to get together to make decisions on how best to respond across a sector, then we will not achieve the collective efficiency that I think many of us would hope that a simulation exercise.
So at the end of my questions, I play a clip from one of the banking guys at that Event 201 at Johns Hopkins University, sponsored by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And he's talking about needing the right players and bringing the right players together to make decisions when there's a pandemic. See, this is really, really creepy because they see themselves as so much more important than obviously you and I, but they're way more important than the local sheriff, your city or county government, even your governor. The governor is just there to pave the way for them to come in and do whatever they want to do. I'm going to play one more clip from him, and then we're going to get rolling. But in this clip, he talks once again, it should drive it home, about the designated players that they want to have in place beforehand so that they can take control and run the show. Let's watch.
But I think we need a series of simulations which get us much more refined in terms of working with the different dimensions of the response that have to be mobilized in a fast-moving pandemic, and then develop a set of standard operating procedures that could be agreed around with designated leadership, which could then be drawn upon should we reach or enter into a fast-moving pandemic. So.
Okay, folks, we are going to bring this in for a landing. So before we get there, I got to do three things. First of all, I want to dispel some myths about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and how they relate, how it relates to the state of Ohio. And then we've got to reveal the second bombshell. And then I guess I got to answer the question, who really made the decision? So let's get started. And I want to begin the discussion about Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation with a response to a Facebook commentary that I made to somebody else's post. And it'll set this up pretty nicely. Let's take a look.
Okay, I take you now to my own Facebook account, and I posted this little sarcastic thing. I think we got off cheap 90 days of Amy's salary, $57K. We killed Ohio for only $57K. But in the ensuing, I got 86 comments on that. But this gentleman here, Nudge, he's probably a great guy. If we sat down and didn't talk about this stuff, I'm sure we'd get along. But no, she saved lives and he defends her and everything. But somewhere down here, I'm right here. I see what's happening worldwide, how confusing this is because we don't have enough data on it. COVID is to be respected. The numbers are going up from Memorial Day. Memorial Day barbecues and fun, yet you feel you know it all. Everything is faux in the media, and I won't read the rest of that. And so this is what I said to him. Absolutely, we need more of the Gates monopoly scientists to save us. And this was his answer. And this is what I'm talking about. Sure. The guy who's given more to charity than 99% of the people on earth is an evil dictator out to take over the world. Okay, we're going to talk about this guy that has given more to charity than 99% of the world. Because, my friends, that is absolutely not the case.
Okay, tried to think of the best way to do this, and I'm not a graphic artist. I'm just going to spit it out, okay? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is not a charity. It's not a charity. There's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Trust. Okay, here's what he does. He funds research by grants, and he invests profit-making money in the pharmaceuticals that make the stuff. Now, he's got all kind of grant investments and all kind of boots-in-the-ground operations, but basically the concept is you fund the research and you invest in the manufacture of it, and you also generously get involved financially with media. That's why he contributes to NPR and underwrites the medical portions of NBC and different newspapers all over the world, so there's always a positive spin that leads people to have the impression that he wants you to have created. It's similar to what the Rockefellers did years and years ago to resurrect their image. But there's another technology that he's heavily invested in, and it's in several different places, and it's ID technology, biometric ID technology. And it will be tied to vaccine records and health records, okay? And sometimes it's in the form of a tattoo. That's the thing they're looking into. There are chips that are being looked into, but there's different ways to accomplish that digitally. And then also IDs that are tied to financial records and your ability to do financial transactions. So what if you were closing on your house or signing the paperwork on the car, and the guy's like, okay, we got everything in order here, but oh, I need your immunization records. Man, I just started thinking about that one. But let me the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is not a charity. How can you explain going from a $54 billion net worth to over $105 billion in the last 10, 15 years if you're giving all your money away? The reason is, he's not giving all his money away. It's a worldwide monopoly business.
And it won't be normal until we get an amazing vaccine to the entire world.
It has been patented. If you can patent a virus, that means somebody made it. It ain't a natural thing.
Never thought I'd be even close to on the same page as Louis Farrakhan, but maybe that's the case, at least on this subject. But on the subject of vaccinations, Bill is out there. He wants to vaccinate the entire planet. And you've got people all over the place that are acting like he's a normal guy. I think he is a twisted sociopath. I can't believe we don't laugh him off the stage. But remember, in a lot of states, you can't send your kid to school unless they've been immunized. In Argentina, at least, I don't know if it's that way now, but you couldn't get a driver's license without being immunized. So, you know, there's people that want to really push that agenda. I don't know if you're vax or no vax or even thought about it, but I think a lot of people are at the place where I don't necessarily want to take a vaccination that's been developed in 6 months. Okay, So are you ready for bombshell number 2? Under the Ohio Revised Code, this was brought to my attention by the good folks at Ohio Advocates for Medical Freedom. The director of the Ohio Department of Health can almost force you to take the vaccine, can almost do it. Let me ask you a question. Have they overstepped any bounds at all? I'm going to read you the statute. Think about it.
So, Ohio Revised Code 3701.13, Department of Health powers. Department of Health has supervision all matters relating to preservation of life and health and people. Let's go down to this line here. The department may approve methods of immunization against diseases, and we look in the last line of this section, and take such actions as are necessary to encourage vaccination against diseases. Well,
but we know that this could be with us for a year, 18 months, and that this tracing is going to have to be done over a long period of time.
Isn't that comforting to know that Mike DeWine has got contact tracers that are going to be tracing you for a long period of time? Yeah, I trust Mike DeWine with that. No, not at all. All right, let me, by the way, I'm going to finish this video. If you're a friend of mine, please remember what I'm going to say next. As I get older, if I ever start to shush my S's when I'm speaking, please tell me so I quit doing that, because that really bugs me. It bugs me when people do that. And when Mike DeWine talks about tracers, that just bugs me. Anyway, that's completely irrelevant. But to answer the question, who made the decision to lock down Ohio? They did. They did. It's just that simple. They did. Exactly how they got to Mike DeWine, I don't know. There's all kind of ways they could have got to Mike DeWine, but here I am. Mike DeWine is one of them. If there was any state in the union that would be the perfect poster child for what they would want you to do, it's Ohio. And he's a Republican governor, so it gives some extra respect to the draconian efforts that have been perpetrated on us. But, you know, when you're going down the street, you're trying to get from one neighborhood to another, and you unexpectedly run up on a cul-de-sac, who makes the decision to turn around? The driver or the guy that designed the street? You know what I mean? So they made the decision. Mike went along with it. How willingly? I don't know. I don't know if he's the doofus in chief or the diabolic in chief. I don't know if he's the diabolic in chief or the doofus in chief. Either way, the net result is the same. So what can you do? I asked that question about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I got a few. Number one, take out a dollar bill, look at the bottom. What does it say? In God we trust. See where you're at with God. Number two, make the decision you're going to push back. Make the decision that you are not just going to go along with every constitutional shred that comes down the pike. Number three, expect the next one. What do I mean by that? Expect an expansion of this or some other crisis to be perpetrated on us, and just recognize the propaganda for what it is, and don't be taken in by it. I think it's a good idea to make sure that all your contacts you can communicate with outside of the platforms that have been censored in the past, so you know that you can always, I got noise in the background, so that you know that you can communicate. Push back at the local level in a positive way. Let the local sheriff know that you're really proud of them, because you know that they're going to go along with supporting the Constitution and not these dictatorial edicts, okay? And finally, any effort to impeach Mike DeWine and get his rhino butt out of there, you need to get behind it. Until next time, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless this wonderful state of Ohio. And God bless America.